Hey friends, I'm back with another video. I wanted to do a follow-up from my how I warm up. I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with crosshair, shooting and strafing, peeking and positioning, and then putting all of that together in a deathmatch. So let's jump into a custom so we can talk through all of this. So I'm just on Ascent, attacking on B side. I have the cheats on just so I could pause the timer and so we can kind of go into this a little quicker. So right now we're in B main, and when the barriers go down, enemies can either be in this spot here, or depending how long it takes for the attacking team to kind of push into B main, someone can either stand slow walk here or teleport there as an omen. So how do we want to kind of go through this? So we definitely want to make sure our crosshair is head level at any time we're walking. So, and by that meaning, you know, anytime we're moving, we don't want to be moving like this, because our reaction time will just take a lot longer and we wouldn't really be seeing if there is an enemy somewhere. We don't want it to be up here either. So just kind of getting accustomed to where head level could be is going to be really helpful when we're peeking and we're getting onto different sites or just moving around in this game. So in this case, we don't want to swing from this close to this corner because they'll see us first before we see them, and we kind of have this corner obstructing us from seeing. So we want to be a little further away. We don't have to be all the way to this wall, but just further away from this corner so we can see this angle. So from there, we can either pre-fire or we can kind of do a fast peek. If no one's there, that means we can start making our way to this wall. And then before we do that, we can pre-fire this if anyone's hiding there, or again do like a quick strafe and peek. And then from here, there's going to be it opens up a lot more angles, and this is where your abilities can come into play. We can get some smokes on CT and market, and other things with our abilities, but I don't really want to cover that too much in this video. That's definitely going to be another video where we talk about strategy, but in this case we'll just talk through these angles. So now that we're in this opening of B main, as an attacker we could either jump peek this, but because we're attacking, we'd want to do either a wide swing or kind of just that cutting of the cake or slicing the pie, to see if any defender is peeking. And that's, easy for us to then get one kill, and then the defending team is now down one person, so we can kind of push a site a little bit more and take more space. So let's say we get this plant down, and let's say that it's like a 1v3 situation. I'm the only one left, and maybe my teammate got killed somewhere in market, so they can call out they're coming from mid, and maybe someone's coming from flank. So in this case, once I get that plant down, I actually would want to push maybe CT to get a 1v1, because I don't have the numbers. I don't want all three of the defending team to have an easier way to kill me being on site. So if this is the case, this is kind of just a little bit more in depth of the strategy of numbers. But let's say I am in CT, I kind of want to just fast peek this to get info to see where they're coming from. If they're up here, that's head level. If they're coming from here, that's head level. And then if they're coming from market area, I don't really want to wide swing this too much because they could be coming from either of these angles. So if that's the case, I kind of just want to keep jiggling a little bit and waiting for information. And then again, using abilities, maybe I have my alarm bot here just to see if they're coming from main. And then if I had my turret, maybe put it here on stairs to mark it if the door is broken. So that's just a little bit of a quick overview in terms of the numbers. There's a lot more strategy that we can cover in another video, so I think that's all I wanted to talk through a little bit. And now that I'm actually standing in CT, just pretend that I am a defender here in this case. I can have my turret up here and I can swing off of that as a defender. That's an easy kill because the enemies or the attackers' crosshair would be up here, so it's harder for them to kind of go up and then go back down. I can stand here. If the turrets find someone, then I can swing off of that. Wide swing, I could kind of burst strafe. So there's a lot of different combinations that we can put together with our abilities and our shooting, but I think the fundamentals of it is really just being able to do that strafe and making sure our crosshair is head level, strafe burst or strafe tap. And there's, you know, a couple different methods of shooting. There's that bursting, there's the tapping, and then the spraying. And when would they be used and when would they be useful? So as I was kind of showing, the strafing and bursting I think is like the best combination you can use in this game. So you're a moving target, but you're also trying to get some shots in. So that can be useful in really most medium to far ranges, as well as the kind of strafe tap. Of course, you need to be a little bit more accurate here with the tapping. So depending on, you know, your skill level, bursting or tapping is best for the furthest range and medium range. And then the spraying. There isn't really a good time to do like a spray because then your bullets get inaccurate, but spraying really is helpful in more close range, you know. So if someone's like here, stairs, just kind of, or if there's a smoke, although now we don't have too much bullets left, if there is a smoke and we know that, you know, a team is walking into a site, we can kind of burst through that, but, you know, make sure that our crosshair, we kind of pull it down so it's not like going up here. But again, bursting is a little bit more beneficial or recommended if that's the case. Alright, so I think I covered the crosshair placement, the shooting, and the peeking. We can jiggle peek or, you know, jump peek this. And how do we actually jump peek? So jump peeking is a little bit more of an advanced action. This definitely took me a lot more time to get down, and I still have trouble doing that on the right side. It's a little bit harder for me. But so how to do that is actually this. So for me, I have jump as my scroll wheel down. It's a lot easier than the space bar, I think. I have shifted my jumping from space, which, I mean, I have them binded to both, but when I jump peek, I use the scroll wheel down because it's a little bit easier to have just not my left hand do all of the buttons and all of the pressing. So how to do that? We press the W key and we jump at the same time, like that. So while we're moving, we press jump, okay? So that's the first step in this. I'm just going back and forth. And then after we do the jump, we then want to press 2 of the buttons to go backwards. So in this case, because we're on the left side, we want to press A and S. And then if we're on the right side, we'd want to press S and D. So after you have already jumped, you want to press A and S right away, like that. So I'm doing this kind of in a slower motion, so it's not doing it, but that's, if you put it all together and have it with your gun or your knife out, it looks like this. takes a little bit of practice. I think for me it took a couple hours, or I want to say more than a couple hours of practice. But once you put it all together, this is kind of what it looks like. And you might not necessarily see everything in the middle of the screen, but highly think that it will be on your mini map if there is an enemy somewhere over here. You know, you're just using this to get information. You're not really doing this to then perform some sort of 1v1. I mean, you can, but it's more so just to get information, this jump peeking. You can practice that at different angles and different sides. And I guess another thing that a lot of people see is, you know, pressing the left click or right click when you do that. Clicking it when you're jump peeking doesn't really do anything. It kind of just looks cooler. Like this is me jump peeking without using my knife, but it's more so just kind of filling the space of not pressing any buttons, I suppose. I forgot to mention that in terms of practicing in customs, if you're still not familiar with agents, you can practice their abilities there, and again, the different angles on different maps. And within death matches or even swift play, you can make sure to practice how the guns work, maybe the distance of how effective they are with other people, for sure your crosshair placement, and then of course, because it's a swift play and deathmatch, there's other opponents, moving targets and getting accustomed to not just shooting anything that's stationary, and more so of a real example of a game. So let's go into a deathmatch just for a really quickly. We'll go over a couple angles and different guns.
Match found.
Really the aim or the goal here is not so much to get the 40 kills and win quote unquote this deathmatch, or you know, win a swift play. It's more so just getting comfortable with the movement and the angles and all of these things that make you a better player at the end of the day. So I'm gonna start with a Vandal because Lotus is a wider map. I want to make sure that I can get someone that is further away versus using more bullets. Yeah, using more bullets with the Phantom. I normally don't slow walk as much in a deathmatch just so it's better to get some cover. And see, in that case, like, why did they crouch right away? We shouldn't be crouching so soon. As I was strafing, it was easier for me to be a moving target versus stationary. Okay, see there? I was a little patient. I tried to reset, tried to strafe a little bit. And use that wall as cover. Alright, so I hope you guys have an idea. I don't really want to run through this whole deathmatch of me either just doing badly, but I hope you guys have the idea. In that case, I was whiffing a lot of my shots, so I tried to crouch to compensate, but I think it's better to definitely reset a little bit and maybe do some burst firing. So I think this is kind of some live review of how my shots are looking as of today. I didn't really get too much practice or warm up, but this is kind of what I would do like on a daily basis in terms of how I set myself up for what I think is success in this game. The other thing that I did in the past just for a little bit was using aim labs. There's definitely a lot of other trainers out there now, and specifically aim labs, they have maps that look exactly like the Valorant maps, and you could practice different scenarios where they are moving targets to mimic like a person defending that area or defending that site. I think it's super helpful if you have a lot more time to practice. But for me, I think maybe 20 minutes a day before you actually start playing games and putting all of these things into use is highly beneficial, because before this, if you're really just jumping into a swift play, a spike rush, and then going straight to comp, how much are you really warming up in those smaller games versus practicing the actual fundamentals? And, I'm not saying that I'm right with all of this advice or suggestions that I've shared. This is more so of my experience, and I hope you guys can learn a thing or two from this. If anything, this was more so I just wanted to share my 2.5 years worth of learning into smaller condensed videos that hopefully other people can use. So I think that's it for this video. I didn't have too much else. I think in my next video I'll actually put something together where it's the top things I wish I knew when I started this game. But for now, that's all I got, and I hope everyone has a good rest of the day, and see you on the next one. Bye!